A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I'm your humble host, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, the Casio to my Ulrich tag, being that one of us was retconned into being the other one by a role-playing game supplement in 2004, it's John Campbell.
Yeah, can't stop. I love it. It's not confusing at all.
We're getting so deep into some bullshit today, John. I am so excited to talk about.
Oh, God. Well, this one does have a lot of names and things. And, there's no question. This is deep mythos of Star Wars that doesn't really matter at the same time.
Doesn't matter at all, except to people like me, to a little bit of people like you, and to probably some people who are listening / watching this show.
Yeah, my people are like, oh, that's interesting. And then we go on with our lives.
To most, it is simply a curiosity. To the select few, it is upon which all canon hinges.
What? No! Yeah.
We are indeed.
Our listeners who we know are really deep, deep fans of this comic. We see you. We appreciate you. If you love this comic, I am all in favor of that.
And just know that I, too, love this comic just for probably different reasons than some of you do.
Yes.
I love it for a lot of the reasons we're going to be talking about today, which is like the strange curiosity of a lot of this. And its place in comic book history, which we've gone over it in some detail recently, but I still find fascinating.
It is a curious case, for sure. Much like that of Benjamin Button.
One could compare the two.
This book also ages backwards. It looks a lot older.
This book was published in March of 1980 because we are covering number 33 of Marvel Comics Group Presents The Star Wars.
Does that feel like too few or like absolutely right at the same time? All right, you go like 33, yeah, but also how have we not done 700 of these at the same time?
Well, it doesn't help that we've done A New Hope 3 times now.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what's contributing to this.
Yeah, it keeps feeling like we're resetting when we're really not.
It's like, man, I subsequently, New Hope has just been ruined for me because of this.
But we have a lot of the same creative team as we have had before on this issue. We have Carmen Infantino on, gets a strange writing credit in Marvel Unlimited for this issue particularly. I don't know if that's the case in the interior of the book as well, but it is Archie Goodwin on writing, Gene Day on inks, Petra Goldberg on colors, and John Costanza on letters, with a certain Jim Shooter acting as editor-in-chief.
Yeah. Well, folks, this is the big one, right? This is the showdown, as it says on the cover. Luke in a showdown battle for his life.
Here's the cover. Saber clash, just like it was promised last issue. These sabers are clashing. Don't mind the colors. Those are going to change when we get into the book.
Oh, yeah, of course. By the way, Saber Clash, awesome name for a Star Wars-themed metal band. Saber Clash.
This week, opening for Iron Maiden, it's Saber Clash.
That's right.
I always love going to metal shows of like the older generation of metal bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, those kinds of bands, because there's always a band opening for them that is one of two options. Either an aging metal band as well, but one you've never heard of but has existed for 40 years.
Right, yeah.
Or a young group that you've never heard of that looks like babies compared to Rob Halford rolling out his walker on a motorcycle.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Now, I know this will shock fans. I've never been to an Iron Maiden show. Believe it or not, maybe a little too hard for me.
John, if Iron Maiden is too hard for you, we got to talk seriously about just how far metal has come in the last 30 years.
Yeah. No, that's about the cutoff of my metal is that 80s. I love an 80s hair band the subsequent Nordic bands of today that still do music like that.
Lest we forget that while the theme song of Peacemaker sounds like it came out in 1983.
Oh, Wigwam, legitimately one of my favorite bands. I love Wigwam.
But that particular song didn't come out until 2009 or something.
Yeah. All their stuff is like that. The 80s never died in Norway or whatever.
But Saber Clash aside, let's get back to Saber Clash.
Not that Saber Clash, this Saber Clash.
Yeah, right off the bat, Luke has the red lightsaber and Baron Tag has the green, so already we're on confusing footing.
Makes no goddamn sense. But then in the little inset Star Wars logo, he has his blue lightsaber.
In my version, it's white.
Oh, fascinating, because it's definitely...
We're both reading it on Marvel Unlimited, right?
Yeah, but you're looking at it on your screen, I'm looking at it on my screen. It's clearly blue here.
Oh, interesting. Maybe I'm colorblind. Or maybe
I thought this whole book was in black and white.
Well, and I'm specifically looking at the version on the desktop. So if I look at the version on my phone, is it any different? That's the question.
I'm looking at it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's blue on the phone.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Now, see, that is interesting because I'm looking at it on a tablet here. So,
All right. Well, I might be doing colorblind. It's fine.
Yeah. Like I said, eventually you're going to be like, that's so weird they did this whole book in black and white. I can't believe it. It's like, what are you talking about?
John, why are all these pages blank? I just don't see anything anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, eventually you're just blind.
I'm getting blinded by the boots on this cover here.
Good Lord.
Let's talk about Luke's tucked-in boots here. I don't know where these designs are coming from anymore. I really don't.
I mean, Marvel boot design is like a whole thing, right? Because just look at these two characters on the cover and the two radically different. Because look at the straight up like space opera glam rock boots on Tag.
Those are some boots that somebody who was a ship captain aboard the Starjammer would be wearing.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely Starjammer vibe. Somewhere Corsair is going, Godspeed, sir.
Godspeed, you fancy bastard. I respect a man in boots like that in a cape in space.
Corsair could roll into this comic with no issue whatsoever. We never question him as feeling out of place.
Him, Hepzibah, Code, all of those guys could just roll straight into this book and we'd never know.
The Millennium Falcon could run into the Starjammers and we'd just be like, yep, another issue of Star Wars.
Totally tracks.
Let's open up the page here because we once again have the Millennium Falcon and the Battlestar Galactica. I'm sorry, what?
So, when we last left our heroes, they were proposing to sneak back into Mos Eisley to get to the Millennium Falcon, and I guess they did it.
Yeah, I know. It is just like, well, we got to get back to the Falcon. Oh, no, they're flying away now. And it is like, phew, glad we got away from that. Oh, no, wait. That's the Tag mining ship.
Yeah, so on their way off of Tatooine, finally, we're leaving Tatooine again.
Tatooine, which once again is pink and green.
That's fine, don't worry about it.
As you would expect it to be.
Yeah, the desert planet, the pink sands of Tatooine.
The famously pink sands of Tatooine.
People often get like Tatooine salt lamps to put in their homes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, of course. So they're flying away, and Luke's just like, "Hey, isn't that a Tag ship?"
That mining explorer, I recognize it because on the next page he expounds the details of Star Wars number 25, where they fucking saw that ship in that weird vortex outside of Yavin dropping off TIE fighters.
And then and Han's like, that adds up. Why just he goes, I think that's the House of Tag ship. He goes, well, yeah, duh. We were just fighting that down on the planet. Remember, you were there. Minus will be what his dialogue is here.
But we get an emphatic roark from Chewbacca pointing at the scope.
Yeah.
Chewie's weird pointing hand here is just like, I need to fit in the panel.
Hey, hold on. Am I in frame? There it is. All right, roll it. So you've got a gaffer with a tape measure going like, yeah, keep it there.
Somebody at Video Village is like, could you get the Wookiee to lift his arm a little bit?
No, too high, Chewie. Down a little. There it is.
Han, could you move out of frame? You're blocking Luke's face.
So yes, what they see is there's a shuttlecraft approaching that lumbering spice sniffer.
Sure. Again, Frank Herbert very generously not suing anybody.
And then, yeah. Really, I always just want to cut to Frank Herbert going, really, anytime it would have been so easy. Any lawyer would have taken the case, all right? Then, for some reason, for this one panel, Luke is possessed by a demon.
Yeah, I don't know how the Dread Dormammu took control of Luke Skywalker.
What happened? and it has nothing to do with what he's thinking, because he's just like, Han, that's the Baron ship. That's basically all he's saying. Why trying?
I get what they're trying to do. They're kind of like retroactively trying to set up this like antagonism between Baron Tag and Luke Skywalker that has not existed up until
No, it only goes one way, and really even kind of half-heartedly that way, because like Baron Tag's main thing is he hates Darth Vader, and it's like, oh yeah, and also Luke Skywalker, but that's like a distant second on his list of vendettas. Number one is Darth Vader. If I can get Luke too, great. But yeah, now they're trying to go like Luke is like that damn Baron Tag. You're like, you don't fucking give a shit about this guy.
You didn't know this guy's name until last issue.
Oh. And this whole issue is going to be this, and I was irked the whole time, just going like, I don't care about whatever issues these two have, supposedly.
Well, and the big problem here is that Baron Tag only sees Luke Skywalker not as like a personal vendetta to have, but one that's like, okay, no, this kid only services my larger vendetta against Darth Vader. Because if this kid fucked up Darth Vader and I fucked up the kid, clearly that makes me better than Darth Vader.
Right, and that's not very gripping in terms of stakes. And so he's just like, Han, we got to follow after this guy.
Yeah, because
seems like maybe don't, because you're just one ship. You're already like been through the ringer.
Yeah, and they have important information on board. They have the tags are making this new super weapon that was able to freeze a big chunk of the desert of Tatooine.
Yeah, and they know where it is. I don't think they're going anywhere at the moment. They could get a whole bunch of Rebel fleet to come back to Tatooine right now and obliterate it.
Well, specifically they can't, because the Rebel fleet that still hasn't left Yavin... I
don't think they're ever going to leave Yavin.
Well, I think that in about 6 issues we're going to be very quickly on an ice planet for no good reason.
Yeah. The films are going to force them to move.
And... yeah, the Rebel fleet is kind of bottled up in the canon of the comics right now. It can't get out of Yavin because of an Imperial blockade of the system.
Right. That's true. So,
which is the whole reason Luke was here to begin with, was to find like blockade runners.
We always talk about Infantino drawing same face. When we turn the page here, we once again establish the Omega Cross previously on, but this isn't even same face as much as it's like, did he have a stroke mid drawing of this?
Well, look, what we don't know is that he was drawing a lot of apes this week for different books. I don't know what else Infantino is working on right now.
Yeah. They did have a Planet of the Apes comic around this time. I don't think he was working on it, but...
they look like chimpanzees.
They really do. Suddenly they have these real squashed faces. And Chewie has the same face. All three of these guys have these sort of simian faces. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This really shows how little effort they were putting in the book, because any editor should have seen this and gone like, back to the drawing table, man. We cannot print this. Are you kidding me?
My question is, did Infantino even draw faces, or is this all the inker at the last minute going like, he forgot the fucking faces?
He just drew empty. They all look like the question.
What if this was just Gene Day being like, I only know how to draw ape faces, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
He's asking a lot of me.
I'm really good at the Planet of the Apes stuff, and that's it.
That's about all I can do here. What was he working on here? I'm just looking to see Infantino at this time, because I mean, he's wrapping up his career. He's older at this point, as we've talked about. He's well past his like legendary status when he was drawing the Flash and stuff like that.
Oh my god. This actually might explain it. So, I'm looking at what Gene Day was doing at this time.
Ooh, okay.
You know what these faces look like and why they look like it is because what Gene Day was working on right now was Marvel 2-in-1, famously always starring Ben the Thing Grimm.
Yeah.
These are Thing faces.
An ever-loving, blue-eyed Thing. Yeah. Yeesh. That's looking rough. Is what it is. It is looking very rough. By the way, he was also drawing Spider-Woman at this time.
Which one?
Infantino.
Was this the original Jessica Drew run?
This is the 1978, the run that started in 78.
So that would have been original Jessica Drew.
Yeah.
I think the other Spider-Woman happened before that.
I think you're right. Yeah. Interesting. That's just, once again, it's always fascinating to see what else. And he was also, of course, doing Marvel Team Up, but everybody was working on Marvel Team Up.
Sure.
He takes over Ghost Rider at this point too, because we don't have a ton. He'll keep coming back and forth from the book, but we are going to lose him for a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll start seeing that around the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that he will segue out of being the main artist on this book and then pop in here and there. But I'm really ready for somebody else to draw this. It looks like he stops at 37.
Yeah, and we will see some, let us call it wild departures in what we're used to in the art. And whether or not you'll be eating those words in a few issues, John, is remains to be seen.
Well, yeah. Cut to me a couple issues from now going like, bring back Infantino.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, I've read ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff. There's some bad stuff. We'll get
Of course, as is always the case. But now we have literally, this is Silas Tag being like, really, Orman, this emotional outburst, as he's just wailing away on some piece of machinery with his lightsaber.
Yeah, Baron Tag is going full Kylo Ren in this scene where he's just like having a hissy fit.
But I love the Tags and the Stormtrooper just watch him going, oh,
again,
boy.
Is it Tuesday already?
Oh, Jesus. He really is the black sheep of the family. And
but he's also in charge.
God's sakes. Yeah. It's like when Job ran the Bluth Company on Arrested Development.
Because we cut to the inside of the Tag mining vessel, and Baron Tag Orman is just like, the Omega Frost was successful, but we didn't capture Skywalker. He humiliated me out there.
And this is when we turn the page here, and I just love Silas taking him by the shoulder and going like, all these vendettas, my dear brother. Come on, man. You gotta cool it.
Did you rebel Darth Vader for blinding you? We Tags should be above that sort of thing.
Did you call that therapist I gave you the card for?
Of course he didn't.
Yeah, I think he could do wonders for you. This guy's got crazy anger issues.
I really love the Tag family relationships. Here.
They have grown into one of my favorite parts of this book for sure. Is like just the weird Tag family who, once again, they're all baseline evil, but only one of them is like straight up unhinged.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're like slowly realizing that is part of the fun, right?
And everybody else just being like, oh man. Also, once again, Infantino loves drawing a well-defined ass. Look at those buns!
These Tag brothers got some buns on them.
The Tag family has the tightest of asses. Literally.
Something is incredibly wrong with Orman's, though, on the right there. It is like scrunched in. His thigh meat is like around the ass. Is like a tiny little heart amidst the leg.
Once again, I am back to, for the love of God, why didn't somebody send him to anatomy classes? Because Infantino frequently does not understand like how a body curves at all.
This has to be an inking issue, though. Like the
It's
way it's
yeah,
shaded is
yes.
specific to the inking and the colors here.
The thing about it is like he's got whatever this like back brace thing, right? That's part of his like cummerbund, I guess you would say, for lack of a better term. But that they're like, but we still want to get some impressions of ass cheeks in there, and so they kind of just they have to like stuff them in under the back brace part of it, and it just that's of course not how a human body functions.
It looks like if you took a heart-shaped pillow
Yeah.
and shoved it down the back of your pants,
Yes.
upside down.
That's very much what it looks like, and so you're just like, because it's like they drew it and they went like, well, now it looks like he has no ass. So we need to. What's the middle ground on this? And it's this, and it really doesn't look good. Anyway,
We're spending so much time on a single panel.
yeah, that's what people are looking for. Yeah, and so here once again, and by the way, Baron Tag's response to all this is like, no, I'm not going to stop focusing on my vendettas. I will never consider that. All right, you hear me?
Yeah. Above pride and family honor? We
Yeah.
wouldn't be tags then, Silas. We wouldn't even be men.
And everybody is just like, oh, we've heard this before. Oh, God.
Yeah. Silas's response here is romantic, Orman, but somewhat lacking in logic.
We've heard this. Oh, God, here he goes. Because he has had lines about the honor of the Tag family backs down from no man.
Yeah, would we even be men if we didn't back up our honor and our reputation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So they send a message to their other brother,
Yeah.
Ulrich Tag.
yeah.
Okay,
And,
we need to talk about Ulrich Tag for a second.
all right, Ulrich Tag. He, as we've mentioned before, he's the Imperial General. Tag, right?
Yes, and they mention that here. They say, Shanks, contact my younger brother. Tell the general we're ready to rendezvous with him.
Yeah.
So, Ulrich Tag, we've already met. We saw him back in issue number 31.
Yes.
He was with Baron Tag aboard a when the mining ship met up with a Star Destroyer.
Correct.
And we're going to see that again here later in this issue. But Ulrich Tag was originally supposed to be the General Tag from A New Hope. Because one of the biggest, like, not the biggest, but like a dangling plot thread that people have come up upon over and over again is that halfway through A New Hope, this guy who questions Darth Vader in the boardroom scene just kind of vanishes, and we don't see him die when the Death Star explodes later in the film.
Right.
Which is basically true of everybody in that boardroom sequence, barring Tarkin and Modi is still aboard the ship at the end.
Yes. And I mean, the only one who gets the, like, moment, right? I mean, like, they make a point of Tarkin dying, right? Everybody else could be there.
Right. But this is the guy who, like, sasses Tarkin and Vader and then just fucks off and leaves.
Right, yes.
And so the original intention by Archie Goodwin specifically was that Ulrich Tag was this guy.
That makes sense.
And that he survived the Death Star by, like, leaving before it exploded.
Yeah, I follow that.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
The snag happens in 2004.
I love that it takes that long for there to be a snag. Well,
Up until then,
here's the problem, Archie.
you could basically say, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, that's this guy.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
In 2004, Wizards of the Coast was responsible for the Star Wars role-playing game.
Yeah.
And what a boom time it was to be making Star Wars content, because all the prequels had just come out. Or we're still, is 2005 Revenge of the Sith?
Yes. 99, 2002, 2005. Yeah, it was 3 years between each one, yeah.
So this happens before Revenge of the Sith, but we're deep in the Clone Wars stuff. Clone fever, as it were. So a
Clone
bunch
fever
of...
was sweeping the nation.
Oh, I mean, we got toys, we got board games, all sorts of stuff.
That's the big thing that's happening in Star Wars at that point, yes.
Because remember now, as of Attack of the Clones, we now have an answer to the question: what the fuck is the Clone Wars?
Correct.
So we basically start getting all this other information about people running around in the military substrates of the New Republic leading into the Empire, right? So that is when we get the name Cassio Tag as the name of the guy from that scene, basically making this character, Ulrich Tag, a separate character.
Well, you know what? I just got to say, those idiots at Wizards of the Coast for not going back to these comics and knowing.
But I think it bears some commentary because a weird amount of Star Wars canon has been established by role-playing games. And
Yes.
it tickles me.
In some ways, that makes sense, though, right? Because the role-playing games, by design, need to drill deeper into mythos and stuff, right? Than movies can that kind of just toss out names and a guy appears in a boardroom. But the whole point of the role-playing games, when they're part of like an IP, right, is like an even deeper dive into this universe.
Yeah,
That makes
no, exactly. But the fact that like the name Coruscant
Right.
was originally developed in the West End Games role-playing game supplement.
I think Star Wars, maybe more than any other franchise, has so much canon created by ancillary things to what it supposedly is, which is a film and TV franchise. But how many names come from the toys, come from the novels, come from the role-playing games, come from the video games? Like,
So many.
so much stuff rolls together in Star Wars more than almost any other IP I can think of. The only other thing I can think of is really something like Batman, where like so much came from the animated shows.
And even that is like a contained singular voice coming from that show, right? In terms of like
It is a one-to-one of there is a comic and then there is now a cartoon show, and the cartoon show is feeding to the comic, and then I guess eventually back to like live action films.
well, and I just mean like the
It's all coming from Bruce Timm, basically.
Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, their voice and vision informed so much of the animated series that whereas Star Wars, there's just all these disparate elements coming together and becoming this milieu of what we consider to be canon.
And to the point where it's almost like that's like part of the appeal of Star Wars, right? Like is the thing about like it's like that's the fun of it is you can just keep going layer to layer to layer. I mean that's so much of your fandom for it was those books, the toys, the games and stuff like that.
Fucking behind me, you can see on my bookshelf. I'll let my camera focus here for a second.
Yeah,
like there's the incredible like droids cross section book right there.
Yeah,
and, like those incredible cross section books were a huge part of my like early reading into Star Wars fandom, and just like seeing all the detailed absolute bullshit and nonsense that the people at Scholastic Book Company had to come up with to fill in all the details of an Imperial Star Destroyer.
Because it's like, I know people have this vision of George Lucas, but it's not like he wrote this massive Bible where it was all in there. A lot of it was stuff that came from that, right? And then it's like, oh, then people looked at that, and then that became, a resource.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah, Star Wars it's wild. All the attachments of stuff to things.
Yeah,
like that.
No, exactly, and that's why I highlight this particular section, because I think it's so interesting that something like the tags, which is created by Archie Goodwin specifically, and then like expands outward in this weird ripple to the point where we now have the Dr. Aphra comics like circling back around on this like really interesting kernel of an idea of this military industrial complex family that's associated with the Empire but not actually in the Imperial power structure, and yet can kind of feed off of that. And like that idea obviously is also played into something during like Shadows of the Empire with like Prince Zizor and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're going to, that'll be an interesting thing to see going forward in the series. Like when we get into the Dark Horse stuff, what of that finds its way into other stuff. And, and especially in the time period where there are no movies being made, which is the bulk of when we grew up, was at that time when this was our continuity. I mean, the comics and
Exactly.
novels were all we had. Those were the new Star. I still talk about all the time when the Thrawn trilogy was the sequel trilogy to me.
Yeah. Look, there was a time in my life where like Mara Jade was Luke Skywalker's wife. She always would be.
Yep.
Their kids are part of the founding
And
New Jedi Order, and like that was just what happened.
Didn't even comprehend anything would exist that would contradict that.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was just like here's what it is. Anyway, let's finally turn the page.
Because Luke and Han are following the tag ship, but they're going to hyperspace. Can't follow them in there until we get to the sequels later. Don't worry about it.
Everybody shut up. You just say that.
They do pick up a transmission though that says they're headed, they think, to Junction, that used spaceship planet with Yorman Thode that we saw before. Or was Junction the one where they confronted Valance? I think that's where Valance confronted Luke Skywalker.
Yes, that's where Junction was. Yes, I don't remember. I don't know if we got it. I can't remember the name of where Thode was.
But we definitely got a name of it, but it doesn't matter because it was just that one issue.
Yeah, and then because Metalorn was then where Leia went undercover.
Correct.
And Metalorn's going to get name checked in here too.
Yeah, not that it really matters, but yes, that's just where Leia's been.
Yeah.
3PO's head shape is going to change 3 times over the course of this page.
Yeah, man. Well, because he's kind of got a rounded head, and as we've talked about, Infantino hates rounded things. He loves sharp point.
Chewie becomes like an old man in the top left panel of this page.
Hello.
What's Chewie's grandpa's name? Is it Stinky?
Is he Lumpy?
Or is it Lumpy?
It's Lumpy.
I thought Lumpy was the
Lumpy's
kid.
And he's Itchy.
He's Itchy. That's it.
Yeah, I can never remember which. Yeah, Lumpy is the kid. Itchy's the grandfather who's cranking it to Diane Carroll. You tell me any other read on that.
Nope. That is straight up old man Wookiee masturbation is what's happening there.
There's no other way to read that. I'm sorry. Nope. That's not on me. That's not get your mind out of the gutter. It's like, you have presented me with that. So, he suddenly does turn into that. And then, actually, kind of the bottom panel with him, too, is a little old man when he's over the chessboard like, oh, my next move.
Because, this is basically a montage. Just like, look, it's going to take a little while to get to Junction, so some stuff happens while we're moving, and one of that is R2 and Chewbacca are getting their space chess rematch in, and I am so weirded out by the thing coming out of R2's face in this panel.
That was immediately where I wanted to go with it next, too. Like, I don't remember that being the way they were playing, and it was just... That's how he moves the thing.
It looks like the extension hose of a vacuum cleaner coming out of his face.
But it also doesn't make any sense because obviously it's hollow chess, right? So they don't have, you're not physically moving pieces, you're pushing buttons, right? Is how they establish it in New Hope.
Look, John, and the board was circular in that movie. And
well, that's also true, yeah. And I know that because my Millennium Falcon toy had a hollow chess board in it.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
I know, yeah. And also, I've been on board the Millennium Falcon.
I know you have. I'm very jealous.
It was very exciting. That's as close to like a religious experience as I think is actually seeing the Falcon in person and being like, I know it was real the whole time. I want to talk about the last panel here though, because why is Luke practicing with his lightsaber right in the cockpit, which we know isn't very big?
Look, this cockpit as presented here is not the cockpit as presented in the movies because it's missing 2 rows of chairs.
I can't believe the first just having the first movie should be enough to establish the basic layout of this ship. And this comic continues to screw with how the Falcon is. Yeah.
John, it's been 3 years since those movies were in theaters. Do you honestly think
it actually hasn't?
Busy.
We're talking about
I know they keep getting re-released, and they've been in theaters forever. They never left certain drive-ins. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but do you think busy grown-ups Archie Goodwin and Carmine Infantino are ever going back out to see Star Wars again, to refresh the visual elements?
Well, you would think, being professionals who were doing that, they would, but no, of course not. Of course they're not.
Now, should they own the toys to know exactly what the interiors of these ships look like?
Well, they clearly own the toys enough to put in when they have to put the toys in, like the troop transport and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we also talked about how the land speeder is very much the toy of the land speeder.
Yeah, no. So
Kenner's sending them stuff.
Do they have any excuse? No. Could they probably come up with an excuse if breast? Yes, because they're busy adults with many things to do.
Yeah.
And obviously, Infantino only cares so much about the silly space book they have him drawing.
But this really irked me, was him practicing right behind Han while flying the... And it's just so he can go like, hey, kid, your lightsaber skills have improved. I wonder if that will pay off in the rest of this issue.
Probably.
Anyway, let's get to Junction.
Yeah, let's get to Junction. We arrive at Junction. The Falcon looks real wonky in terms of scale in this panel, but
It looks like it's like it was a 3D thing made of like marzipan that then like somebody had a Millennium Falcon cake, then they took a hard turn while transporting in the car, and the whole thing shifted.
I thought about it as one of those like heat activated stickers where the front has kind of shriveled a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. Half of the Falcon is slopping off, no matter what metaphor you want to use, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it looks bad. And look what our quarry is cuddling up to. It's a Star Destroyer, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a Star Destroyer.
Infantino's never been great at capturing. This is a better Star Destroyer, but he's never been great at capturing these things.
Well, the problem with capturing Star Destroyers in general is trying to appreciate the scale of them, right?
Yeah, because this tag ship should be way smaller than the Star Destroyer.
Part of what captures people in the first opening moments of A New Hope is, okay, big spaceship flies overhead. Then a spaceship bigger than God is following it. And you're just like, holy shit.
It is always what my dad talks about when he first saw it. And it was just like, I'd never seen anything like it in my life and it's just like from moment one, that movie was awe-inspiring. What?
Yeah. So trying to capture that majesty in what a Star Destroyer, like that's the first image of a Star Destroyer anyone had ever seen and will ever see is that first like wham over the top. And trying to capture that is hard and drawing is difficult. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. But
Star Destroyers are the feet and hands of spaceships, I guess.
But in this case, the scale is really the thing, because this tag ship seems way too big in comparison to the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, and I have no idea how far away the Falcon is compared to these two.
Yeah, because the Falcon
ships.
seems to the Falcon is we see, well, I guess it's the Death Star, but like we've seen the Falcon is a pretty small ship comparatively.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here it looks, what, like maybe a quarter of the size of a Star Destroyer, and you're like, no, it would be dwarfed by it. I mean, they do the whole thing where he hides on it in is that an Empire?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
he's the Falcon is mistaken for a piece of trash.
Yeah, just the whole shot of it is just this little ship that's basically like a barnacle on the side of it. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, and so yeah, whatever.
We get a couple of Dutch angles where they're like, "Oh, look at there! They're in cahoots with the Empire." Yeah, no shit.
And then Luke's gonna get into our favorite spacesuit design. We love these spacesuit designs.
Wait, Han, what are they doing down there? As he points, and we see a bunch of AIM goons loading up stuff.
Yeah, spacesuits donated by the fine folks at AIM.
So we get a bit of, I don't know why this happens the way it does, but don't worry about it. So they have to transfer cargo from the mining vessel to the Star Destroyer, and the only way they can do it is by hand in space.
Yeah. What's your problem? That makes sense to me.
They couldn't have figured out any other way for this to work.
No, we're at a loss here. We don't know.
You couldn't have used, I don't know, a shuttle.
No. What?
That's the shuttle that we know both ships have in their possession.
Oh, is that right? Did they mention that earlier? Yes, they distinctly.
Did we visually see a shuttle
right
entering
at the beginning of this issue? Maybe.
Yeah.
No, that's fascinating that you bring that up. But don't worry. How dare you mention that?
I know.
Making this comic look bad. They so they do. Oh, yeah, well, this allows Luke, of course, as we to sneak in here.
Because thankfully, Luke has the exact same
Yeah.
spacesuit
Well,
as the space workers.
across the Galaxy Star. There's only the one spacesuit. It's uniform to everybody. There's only one. This manufacturer has a monopoly on the industry. It's not cool, man. You know, it really leads to you need to do some antitrust laws and stuff like that. But it's just so tough, you know.
So it turns out MODOK stands for mental organism designed only for capitalism.
Yes, yeah. People have been miswriting it with a K. It's always been a C. Yeah, Luke sneaks in there. And I love
a little bit of the Tag brothers being like, who are evil plans.
I do love Tag just being like, this is great. This is gonna be great. No, and he's like, no doubt some of them are gonna be rebel spies. Yeah. But perhaps even some from our friend the Sith Lord. It's to be expected. Now shut up. Because they're like, hey man, we have all these people out there. Can we trust them all? It's like, oh, nah.
Yeah, and they're doing this like really visible space transfer of goods above Junction, which we already know is like a very populated like trade hub planet.
Right. And they're just going like, man, isn't this really like out in the open? And he's just like, yeah, man, but who cares?
That's the point. Let them know.
Yeah, best case scenario for Baron Tag is Vader hears about this is like, he's doing what? Ooh, that sounds scary.
I love the line here, though, when Baron Tag is just like, just one more part of our plan. And Ulrich's rejoinder is like, a good plan shouldn't be complicated. Something unexpected is likely to happen.
Oh, but shot it. Who's the Baron?
Every other Tag is just like, oh my god, this guy.
He's so dumb. And obsessed with his own personal fun. The whole family, whatever power they have, he seems to be funneling all of it towards showing up Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we've talked about that. It's now no longer enough to kill him or return in kind the blinding. Now it's like, also, I need to make him look bad to the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
I have to ruin his reputation and then kill him.
And Luke's making it a lot easier for him because he just joins the working crew here. Tunes into their intercom, tries to get a little information about the Omega Frost.
And luckily, these guys, when he tunes in, these guys are telling all the exposition.
I love that the random space workers are like, did you hear? This thing's the Omega Frost. Oh, I saw the demonstration. It was bad news. This one's even bigger. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's all just... Thank God they aren't just going like, you see the game last night? Yeah, Jesus Christ, I tell you, they really blew it. Like, why would these guys be talking about, like, workaday stormtroopers just going like, man, this Baron Tag guy and his secret super weapon, I know. Can you believe it?
But these aren't stormtroopers because we see stormtroopers later in this page.
That's right. Who are these? Are just guys they hired. That's what they're talking about. They're like, these guys could be anybody, and he's just like,
these are fucking Teamsters.
Yeah. And that's where he's going, they could be spies. And Baron Tag's response is, they probably are. I just don't care.
But thankfully, the Teamsters, strictly following Union rules, call Luke on his bullshit when Luke's trying to get away, saying, hey, no one called a break.
Come on, man. You're going to screw up our contract here. We're going to have to go on strike. Jesus, man. Yeah, don't interfere with my paycheck is basically what this guy is saying. And then then we get outer space stormtroopers, which I love.
John, they fly now?
The best moment in all the Star Wars, Gergoni.
It turns out they've been flying since 1980, you sons of bitches.
Here they go. And it really seems like they murder Luke Skywalker in this last panel.
Oh, yeah. 100%. You know, he's dead. He's not going to show up in the next movie. It's fine.
Just it's another thing where it's like, once again, I know they haven't watched the movie probably in a while, but like Stun Blast look different, and this just looks like a straight up massacre.
Maybe stun doesn't look the same in space.
Suddenly, it's not the little purple circles. Now it just is.
Maybe it only looks like that in an atmosphered environment.
Oh boy,
I don't know.
Boy, you are working overtime on that one.
I'm stretching. Yeah, I'm limbering up in my excuses here.
Boy,
Because
you desperately need to defend this because Jesus.
look, I'm warming up for the big stretch I'm gonna have to make later. So
I do like that that Chewie's like they killed him and Han's like I don't know. They might have just stun blasted. Doesn't know that. It's just like, well, let's hope for the best, Chewie.
yeah, Chewie looking even more Chewie-like as we go forward. Like, it seems like, honestly, Infantino's turning a corner on making Chewie look like Chewie. And I think the inking and coloring is doing a lot of work here, but...
we talk about the getting rid of that, like, flesh-colored face did a lot. Like, that did a huge amount for it, no question.
Well, and the inking, like, adding extra hairlines going towards the nose and into the eyes, like, it's doing a lot of work.
Yes, absolutely. So, although I don't particularly love the sad Chewie on the second panel, where he's just like, Han, buddy.
He's dead. We need to accept that.
Yeah. And they're just like, well, anyway, we'll just go tell the rebels what happened.
Oh, we got it. We are the only ones with information now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Leia's like, ugh, what are these idiots doing now?
I have a terrible migraine.
Because Han Solo's back in my life.
Jeez. I do like, it's like, we better get to the rebels, and then cut to, they've gotten to the rebels. How long did that take? I don't know. It's literally on the same page.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Junction's pretty close to where their rebel base is at
Yavin 4? Maybe, I guess.
The green jungle world of Yavin 4.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get a bunch of explanation about that. Wright Thomas isn't on the book anymore. And so she's all freaked out because I can't believe someone would send Luke on this. And then Dodonna has to be like, actually, that was my call on that one.
So. Yeah, cut to Dodonna being like, it was my decision to send him out and recruit blockade runners rather than have him moon around on the base waiting for you to complete your mission on Metalorn.
Man, he basically is like, I couldn't deal with the whining anymore. I just couldn't with this kid. I had to send him somewhere. Surely there's something we can have him do. Jesus.
In Dodonna's defense, he sent him to Tatooine, Luke's home world, which, for all intents and purposes, is about as out of the way as you can get if there isn't a secret Imperial weapons testing facility there.
Yeah, Dodonna really isn't at fault because he didn't know House of Tag was there. And two, he didn't tell Luke to follow the House of Tag.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Dodonna's in the wrong.
Dodonna set him on a total, like, oh, just go out there and see if you can get some people. Whatever. That'll keep him busy for a while.
Admittedly, he did send him into a lawless hive of scum and villainy. So
yeah, but he thought but the kid grew up there, so he should know his way around, right?
First time Luke went into town in New Hope, he almost got himself killed if it wasn't for Obi-Wan.
Yeah, well, I wonder how much of that story got told to Dodonna. Luke made
fair. No one else was there to witness it besides Han and Chewie, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, that's the guy you send, right? Because Han travels in scum and villainy.
True.
That's his whole thing.
But Dodonna does say, I considered, because Leia's like, why would you send Luke? He's always stumbling into trouble. Yeah. And Dodonna, I actually really like this moment when he says, I consider that, Your Highness, but does he stumble or is he guided?
Yeah.
We all speak of the Force, but Skywalker seems truly touched by it, perhaps in more ways than we know. So Dodonna's like, he sees the rub of destiny on this kid, and he's just like, look, stuff's going to happen around him. Maybe I can, aim that?
Yeah, man. I'm Team Dodonna, man. I like Dodonna. I think he knows what he's doing. I'd say get off his back, Leia. But I also like that Han's like, guys, super ice weapon. Are we still talking about that? Hello? You're forcing me to be the voice of reason, and that's not a good look on me.
Also, I'm going to use the term Star Hoppers. We haven't seen it in a while, but it's back, baby.
I'm still trying to make Star Hoppers happen. Anybody? Stop trying to make Star Hoppers happen. So they're talking about... What's 3PO say? Oh, R2's beeping, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And he's
Oh, and
saying like,
it's just him going like, I hope Luke's okay.
yeah,
So we can
basically.
talk to Luke.
Because cut to the tag mining vessel,
Yeah.
and they're working on this asteroid corridor that leads into the system where the Yavin base is.
Right.
We've actually they're actually building on a lot of established facts going into this storyline here, because
Yeah.
like, okay, we know Yavin 4 is kind of in this isolated cluster of star systems that the Empire sort of locked down in an attempt to stop the story of the Death Star the Death Star's destruction from like getting out to the rest of the galaxy.
Right. And
And
so yeah, they talk about this whole thing, and but once again, I love that Baron Tag is like, all right, you guys handle the business or whatever. I'm gonna go deal with my personal vendetta against this kid. Jesus Christ.
and he says, proceed according to plan. My brother Silas will direct the operations.
Yeah.
We then cut to the inside of the ship where Luke Skywalker is waking up with a lightsaber to his throat.
Yep. Once again, how much time has passed between when they captured him and Han going to Yavin 4, and now Luke is just coming to?
A day, let's say.
Let's go with a day. Why not?
The
Why not?
amount of
That's
time,
as believable as anything.
the amount of time it takes to travel through hyperspace lanes is purely a narrative contrivance, depending on how much time you need to have passed.
100%, and that's true about all the stuff, right? Like warp drive and stuff like that. People always talk about if the ship can go warp 10, why don't you go warp 10 everywhere? And I understand, like, don't tax the engines, sure.
Never, ever, ever try to figure out how long it should have taken Voyager to get home.
Oh, good Lord, no. No, and there's so many episodes of Voyager where they're like, we just shaved 15 years off our journey, and you're like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they think any of us are writing these numbers down and subtracting? Because it's just like, I just assume they're never going to get back home until the last episode, so...
There's 3 things you never track when watching Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
How far they actually are from home, the number of shuttles that Voyager has access to, and the number of proton torpedoes they have left.
No, yeah. They give up on resource management pretty quick in that show.
Yeah, 100%.
That was a big Ron Moore issue, because that's why he then goes and makes it the entirety of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, so he's like, haha, I've captured you. How much information does he have about Luke? Because he's pretty baffled by him.
He knows that Luke is a farm boy from presumably Tatooine.
Yeah.
Because they had that Imperial census data on him.
Yeah. The Empire keeps great records.
Yeah. On backwater desert planets.
On everything, yes.
Again, don't worry about the idea that the Empire knows about the last name Skywalker at all. Don't even worry about it.
Crazy talk.
He knows that he's a skilled pilot, because he knows this is the guy that blew up the Death Star.
Yes, yep.
He knows he's carrying a lightsaber, but he doesn't really have an understanding about what that means, really. Not until the end of this issue.
Yeah, because the whole thing here about it, he goes, interesting you dress like a farm boy, yet you carry this, the weapon of a Jedi Knight. I hope you're as skillful with it as you were with an X-Wing fighter during my operation on Yavin, see issue 26, because I have in mind a little game as my way of avenging that business. He could just kill him, but no, of course, Tag's got to be a theatrical weirdo about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a big shaking in the ship, they feel. It turns out they're launching larger conducting towers of the Omega Frost, even bigger ones than they were testing on Tatooine. They're doing this out in this asteroid corridor, which is like the best way to get in and out of the sector to Yavin.
Right.
They're going to use the Omega Frost to freeze any ships coming through this corridor.
Yeah.
Now,
this is what I'm talking about. This is a little, like, unwieldy as far as plans go.
Well, maybe for more reasons than you think, John.
Okay. Yes, please
First,
elaborate.
what do we know about space?
Well, there's a few things, but are you talking about that it's already extremely cold?
It could be the fact that it is about as cold as you could get in
Yeah.
physical space.
Yeah. I mean, look, see any Guardians of the Galaxy where people freeze immediately upon entering space, basically.
So, unless the Omega Frost can possibly make things reach absolute zero, which the physicists among us will know is a theoretical point at which matter stops moving and molecules are frozen in place, it would probably destabilize space-time if that, like, happened.
Yeah.
Because you're, like, capable of stopping light and stuff at that point.
Yep.
I don't know what this would do in space.
No.
If anything.
It seems like if you could do this, this is what I'm saying. I'm reading this and going, couldn't you just put big cannons there so that when people pass by, it blows up the ships? I would think that would be a better plan than this.
So,
because
he says,
yeah,
your Alliance friends make great use of the asteroid corridor in breaking the blockade. It's almost impossible for massive Imperial cruisers to patrol here.
Yeah.
You see, he continues as Luke catches him monologuing here.
Yeah, he goes, anyway, point number 2.
Yeah. They're going to destroy the rebel fleet that comes to try to save Luke Skywalker in a sudden wave of ultimate cold. So maybe the Omega Frost can make things reach absolute zero. It's possible.
It would have to, right? Otherwise,
Otherwise, this plan is insane. Yes.
But when they have this, when they're taking the Omega Frost into space, I think they're going to freeze the base on Yavin or something, something that's like would be planet bound. No, yeah, he's going to freeze ships in mid-flight in space. What?
I guess maybe if you like snap freeze all. I mean, we did see in the last issue, it freezes everything inside the ships too. So like presumably if it can bypass ships' shields, like everybody inside all the ships are dead.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like I said, yeah, even if you can figure out this, though, it just goes like, isn't this just unnecessary? Like, it just seems like there's got to be an easier way to do this than freezing weapon.
I feel like the whole idea with this is that, like, it's not something that can be really dodged like a laser blast.
I guess that's the idea, but he's just so fixated on this freezing technology.
Well, he does look like Captain Cold.
I finally decided to embrace the fact that I look like Flash villain Captain Cold. I'm one of the rogues.
Look, well, we don't see his other brother who's like really fixated on boomerangs.
First the galaxy, then Central City. Yeah. But see, of course, but he's like, right, but while we're doing that, that's great. We're gonna go ahead and have a lightsaber duel, though.
Yeah, because while Luke catches him monologuing, grabs his wrist, shouting "No!" and I love the captions here because they say, "It is a rash act of anger and desperation against a man of the skill and experience of Baron Tagg. It shouldn't succeed, yet it does somehow. Perhaps."
God. Oh, really? Because the man constantly embarrasses himself, as we've talked about in every fight he's ever been in. But sure, I'm supposed to believe he has the skill and experience beyond anyone else.
Well, I mean, we've seen him constantly training with this lightsaber. We know he's a physical specimen. Okay. We've seen his butt.
Yeah, those buns, man, they don't quit.
They don't lie, yeah.
Yeah, but here's another question, too, is where is he getting lightsaber instruction? Like, because the Jedi Knight, the Jedi Order has fallen, right?
Yep.
Other people, implication of almost everything I've seen in Star Wars is it's not like other people. Basically, no one else ever wielded lightsabers aside from a handful of characters.
whack chops is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, because I mean, and you have like Grievous doesn't know what he's doing. He's just twirling them, basically to taunt. He's decent, but it's more just like, look at all these lightsabers I took from the. And his attack against Obi-Wan is basically to overwhelm him by having a lot of blades. It's not like he has any skill per se.
Well,
So
he has a dropped line that is like, I was trained in the Jedi arts by Count Dooku himself, and everyone's like, yeah, lol.
Right. But that's the thing is like, who's around to teach Tag how to use a lightsaber? He basically, are we to believe maybe he's intercepted some of the maybe he has some of the training discs, because we see that stuff in Star Wars. We just saw that in Ahsoka where you have like Anakin's training videos.
But those are holocrons. Like those are stuff that can only be accessed by people who wield the Force.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't know. I mean, I here's my imagination: is Baron Tag has basically invented his own style of lightsaber fighting, and that's what he claims is his training.
And here's what my supposition in all of this is: martial training of any sort is going to exist. There's probably people out there who use swords as their primary weapon.
Well,
we've seen like vibroblades and stuff.
Yeah, this is what. Yeah.
Assuming he has trained himself in that sort of like, okay, there's swordsman stuff out there that I can find and get access to. What Tag doesn't know, and what is going to become very obvious to him by the end of this issue, is there's more to it than that when it comes to the Jedi and the Sith. And he doesn't comprehend that.
Right. Yes. No, and that's because and what should happen does, which is Luke, having gotten instruction from Obi-Wan, is better with a lightsaber than Tag.
And having a connection to the Force, specifically.
And it's exactly. It is more than just the skill with the weapon itself.
Right. Because it turns out Tag wasn't caught monologuing. He let Luke steal his lightsaber back and run out across the ship, all for his weird, sick, twisted game.
I love my prisoners escaped, ... as I planned.
Alert all personnel to stay out of his way and make no attempt to interfere. He's mine.
Yeah. And then he's like, lightsaber opponents are difficult to find in this age of blasters, Luke Skywalker. I hope you can provide me with valuable practical experience. So there's the thing exactly. Like, he's never really faced anyone who knows what they're doing.
Right.
All of his training is in theory, right? And like basic defense and attack. Yeah. He's basically like been training in a fencing gym.
He has been practicing watching YouTube videos against guys who have spent like the better parts of their... he's practicing to defeat Darth Vader, arguably the most powerful Jedi/Sith to ever exist.
100%, yeah.
His only experience with Vader and Vader's ability to use a lightsaber came at the expense of his eyes.
Yeah.
So, he's never actually seen Vader even fight somebody else who's on Vader's level.
This man's an idiot.
Yeah, 100%.
And then he's just like, and then once again, though, he's like, I'm going to fight Luke Skywalker, and then I'm going to kill Darth Vader, because don't never forget, that's priority number one! Yeah.
So, he catches up with Luke. Luke has made his way to a hangar bay. He's planning on stealing a TIE fighter and making his escape. Good plan, Luke.
Yeah. I do, once again, my constant criticism of this, and I understand what they're trying to achieve, but it always looks like these are flame swords or something, because of they're trying to indicate the energy coming off of the blades, and it always comes off as they look like they're wielding fire.
In the second panel, the top right one here, it looks like the extendable plastic lightsaber swords we had as kids.
Yes, those 100% do. Oh god, I had so many of those. But
I will say, Luke's lightsaber here is blue.
It's properly blue. I know.
And Tag's is orange.
It's orange, yeah.
Which first appearance of an orange lightsaber, I guess.
Yeah. Once again, it's all things like the first appearance of orange lightsaber, but they're just not. They're just coloring it whatever, as we know. Yeah. There's no thought to this that later will come into the design of lightsabers. And so they start fighting.
Luke is getting trounced at first.
Yeah.
Your reflexes are excellent. You show some skill, but your technique is primitive, almost non-existent. A talented amateur with the only benefit of a few lessons.
But from an actual Jedi Knight, so he's got him beat on that front.
Yeah, because at this point, Luke is down on the ground as
said Jedi
Baron Tag is lording over him.
Said Jedi might just pop in for a quick cameo.
Yeah, we get a quick little Force ghost of Obi-Wan here.
Well, I love the design of him just going like, excuse me there, hello. Obi-Wan Kenobi here, hello. Just real quick, just got a couple of things to add. Yeah.
Yes, a living foe is different, young Luke, especially if you attempt to fight his way. Consciously match his moves. Your way must be the way of feeling, coming from within, the way of the Force.
Here's a question for you. Is this the first visualization of a Force ghost? Because we don't see a Force ghost, Obi-Wan, in New Hope. We will, of course, come the next movie, but we don't. We just hear him. Now, my guess is
interesting question.
It may be from the trailers. We don't know what was in those, but I mean, it may be that because I have to imagine they didn't come up with this, that they know of Force ghosts.
Now, here's the thing.
How much
is this a Force ghost, or is this just like... There is some supposition in this comic book that Luke had more time to train with Obi-Wan outside the single scene we saw.
Is it like memory of something he said to him?
Yeah. In the time on their way to Alderaan.
Yeah, it could be read either way. Yeah, that's a good point.
So there's enough ambiguity here that I'm going to give this book, like, I don't think it was consciously making Force ghosts a thing.
Yeah. Here. They just say a familiar voice sounds within his mind, which can be read. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
But then we get Luke basically pulling a Rey here. Like, that was the first thing I thought of when this scene goes up, is just like, this is precisely what Rey does at the end of Force Awakens.
Yeah, where it's just like I'm gonna let you come at me.
Mm-hmm.
And Tag's like, you idiot, I'm just gonna murder you then. And then nope. What?
Yeah.
What?
Reaction honed in countless hours of practice and training save the Baron. And then on the next page, but suddenly he realizes a much different battle is being fought than the one he began.
Yeah.
And to win that battle, even with all of his considerable skill, he must fight for his life. Because Luke has slashed him now in this like pure reaction, one with the Force method he's using.
Sick pecs, Jesus.
I mean, look, Baron Tag is fucking built. Okay,
yeah. This guy is yoked, man. Look at him.
Absolutely, he has got giant man titties for days. Let's.
Yeah. Well, I also love in that Infantino style. He is more or less muscular depending on the panel. Because now look at his arm. Yeah. Like, when was his arm ever this defined as it is in the? Suddenly it is. He's like a groundskeeper Willie when he's got a pot belly until he takes his shirt off. It's one of my favorite things.
Grease me, woman.
Yeah. And so yes, they are there. He is now fighting. It's basically like now he's taking this seriously.
Wow, and he's kind of on the back foot here because Luke. I love the caption here. I actually really, really like this scene because it illustrates like, okay, there is something extra to being a Jedi.
Sure, yeah.
And Luke Skywalker's got it, and some jackhole who claims he's got all the training in the world just doesn't.
Right. Is the thing is like, yeah, it's not just the actual like knowledge of lightsaber technique that is what makes the Jedi such great warriors.
Yeah. And he's coming at him in like an awkward, flailing wombat style, but he has got this like reaction time and this fluidity to his mind that Baron Tag just can't even approach.
Because as we get again, we love the use of this. There's more to you than meets the eye, Skywalker. You've the touch of the wizard about you.
This is my favorite line in this issue. A touch of the wizard about you.
Like that blasted Darth Vader. Yeah, Tag is so quick to call people wizards, and we also had witches at some point, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Time for the strategy. The final strategy I was saving to just... So this was he's like, oh, this was actually my big move against Vader, but I guess I'll do it now.
His big plan to defeat Darth Vader was, on this next page,
yeah.
Turn off the lights.
Vader's fucked in the dark, baby. What? What?
This guy is such an idiot.
Why? Like Vader would just be like, where'd he go? Oh no!
Specifically on this page, his big plan is turn off the lights. Okay, lightsabers inherently emit light.
Yes.
Step 2,
Yeah.
take a random scrap of cloth and throw it as a distraction. His plan to beat Darth Vader was the Skyrim, what's that over there to the guard strategy.
What? Like Vader would be like, huh? Oh no!
What was that? Must have been
Yeah.
the wind.
Mechanized has some advantages, my young. Mechanized sight has some advantages, my young friend.
Yeah, so he can see in the dark with his cyber vision, we find out.
And it seems like it's going to work for him because he's coming up behind Luke to stab him. And then Luke just turns around. And I mean, for a second, I thought just should have put his lightsaber right through his head.
But Luke, eyes closed, wheels around.
Yeah.
But his blade strikes thin air. His target has moved, not stopping with the cut of the cloth as expected, but continuing the swing, continuing in a perfect arc that ends at the face of Baron Tag.
Yeah. And he wrecks his cyber glasses, is what he does.
Because over the next 2 panels, we find out Luke gets away in a TIE fighter, and the stormtroopers roll up on Baron Tag with a flashlight, and he's just babbling in the middle of the floor, going like, he could have killed me. He controlled his stroke so perfectly. All he did was cut my glasses in half.
And yet another villain has been bested. I don't want wood.
It is piloted by a boy who learned once again how much he can do with the Force awakened in him by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and has also discovered at what point he prefers to stop.
Yeah.
Kind of giving us this like, okay, Luke is more and more of a badass, but he's not going to cross certain lines.
Except for he definitely will, but that's...
I mean, look.
I mean, he doesn't murder in cold blood, but Luke definitely drops bodies all over the place.
He blew up the Death Star. He killed a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like he's against killing. He doesn't, relish it or anything, but it's like, I think he should have killed Baron Tag. And not in a comic book, he would have. Like in a movie, this would have ended with Baron Tag's death. But
he would have chopped his head off.
I'm going, 100%. Yeah. Or like I said, I would have just like, not just the glasses, but right through, like one of my favorite kills in Last Jedi, when you just have the blade go through the Praetorian Guard's helmet and out the other side. Yeah. Bad ass. I do love our friend Silas Tag working with a kid's chemistry set with beakers because he's a science man.
He does science, John, and science is universally done with beakers.
Beakers of colored liquid, man. That is always what science is and stuff. And he's like, I'm moving my green liquids here.
I've been reading the most recent Fantastic Four series. Really good book right now.
The Dan Slott stuff?
Yeah.
Dan Slott stuff is great. His run is fantastic.
But there is a recent issue with Reed has to take a sample of something, and it's just like, oh, and it's still just a beaker he had in his pocket, because that's what science is.
That's science. I love that even in like Star Trek, you just have like, you go into like sick bay, and still all the technological stuff, but Dr. Crusher still has like beakers of colored liquid in the background. It's like, well, how else will we know she's doing science back there?
Without beakers, who can say?
And so they go like,
we found Orman. He's back in sickbay. He's suffering from shock. That's it.
What? Like he's just sitting there going, but how? What? I can't. And I just like that he's just like, well, Silas just like, he's just gonna die, so it doesn't matter. Let the kid. This is the second issue we've read where somebody goes like, whatever, Luke will just die out there. Don't worry about it.
The difference is Silas's dialogue here. When Shanks asks him if we should pursue the rebel that got away, Silas specifically says, "It's unnecessary, Shanks. When I learned of the game my brother was planned, I ordered some precautions taken. Skywalker's ship has no armaments, no communications, and just enough fuel to carry him to disaster. Orman is a romantic. I am not."
So he basically was like, yeah, he's probably going to lose that, so I should just sort of like, if he's going to get away, like, let's make it not as successful an escape as it can be. Yeah.
It's like, I've given him just enough fuel to fly straight into presumably the Omega Frost. I haven't given him a radio or any kind of guns.
I will
he's
say though, I
screwed.
did reach the end of this and going, "Oh God, this is gonna keep going."
Because John, next issue we have Thunder in the Stars.
Because when I think ice, I think thunder. What?
Thunder.
Yeah.
Thunder.
Yep. With special musical guest AC/DC.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, man.
But
Okay.
yeah, so Luke has defeated and thoroughly demoralized Baron Tag.
Man is so in shock. He's literally in a medical state of shock after what Luke did to him. What?
But it turns out he might not be the most dangerous of the Tag siblings.
Oh no, who could forget the nerdy brother Silas? Oh, the nerdy one is the one who will rule the day.
Well, and look, we haven't even gotten to some of the more, let's say what it is, important members of the Tag family.
Right, there's an oft mention of their sister, and it's like ooh, you don't want to call her. So they are already building her up to be a big deal.
Domina Tag will become a big deal maybe not a big deal in this book, but she will become a big deal in like 30 years after this book.
Give her 3 decades and she's gonna just take over, man.
Yeah, but rest assured, even post Empire Strikes Back, the Tags are gonna keep coming back into this book.
They are like one of the major threats of this book. There's no question about that. That they have built them up to be like, okay, the comic needs bad guys that are specific to the comic. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of appreciate that, honestly.
I enjoy the Tags. Like I said, I like that they're an evil family. I like that this book, as much shit as I give it, and I think deservedly so on a lot of that front, it does avoid some of the pitfalls of Star Wars stuff, right? Which is like, you end up just sort of getting redressed versions of the same stuff, particularly when it comes to villains. Oftentimes you can get like, well, this is just a variation of Darth Vader or the Emperor. So I do like that, like, oh yeah, like evil family of rich douchebags is like a novel villain concept in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy them.
Especially when it's like non-Force users.
Right, exactly. They're just assholes who are with the Empire, but not really like true believers in the Emperor, but more just like, this is how we can profit and then do our thing. But they don't like really bow down to the Emperor. They want him to like them just because he's in charge.
Yeah, and they let the Emperor lets the Tags do kind of whatever they want.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's just like they're they're the thing though where it's like, yeah, we don't really want to be seen as running the show. It's like we're the people that, like a lot of real life families and stuff like that wield political power without holding any actual political office. So
what's the name of the family that owns Walmart? I always forget their names.
Oh, it's the Waltons.
The Waltons. There it is.
Yeah. So yeah, hence Walmart.
Yeah.
But yeah, not what the wonderful Walton fan. They do so much. What are you talking about, Gergoni? They're amazing.
Their grace and benevolence trickles down upon us.
They run that organization that everyone loves working for. So anyway, yes. Next week we will see what Thunder in Space looks like. But of course, if you want more from us and all the shows here at the Punch Up Entertainment Network, you can head over to our Patreon page, which is patron.podbean.com/punchup. That's patron.podbean.com/punchup and get cool exclusive bonus content as well as help support the show.
And of course, the best way to support this show might be to come watch us over on YouTube. I would call it the optimal way of consuming this show, honestly.
Absolutely. It is.
Because you can read the comic along with us.
Absolutely. You get the visuals of the comic. And if you do that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe below. Ring that bell for notifications. It really does help us out in monetizing the show and whatnot.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below, who's your favorite non-Sith bad guy in Star Wars? I'd be curious to get people's read on that, because there is a plethora of options, from your Boba Fett's to your Jabba's the Hutt, with 2 T's, of course.
Yeah. Jabba. You have Jabba's the Hutt. Yeah.
of the plethora of Jabbas we might have available.
Yeah.
We know it's a common name because of this book.
So many Jabbas out there, and they're all Hutts of different sorts. There's Jabba the Hutt with 2 T's and an E, but the E is silent. Jabba the Hutt.
of the Yorkshire Hutts.
Yeah. I can't wait to meet him. He's the most regal and dignified of the Jabba's the Hutt.
But I think that's going to do it for this week.
Indeed.
I have, of course, been Mike Gargoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And may the panel be with you.